my blog, and I'm like, okay. I dit bonjour.
People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
Hey, good morning, wherever you may be in the global world. It is a pleasure, it is a privilege, and it is an honor to come before you one more time on CB's Corner. And you can tell the joy in my voice. I'm excited because I have everybody that comes on this show is very special, but this person is extra special. He happens to be my uncle. And yes, let's get it out there early. He's younger than I am. And some of you have been asking me, how can this be? How can he be your uncle and he's younger than you? Well, it speaks of my my grandfather was a active man, let's say so. All right. And so he ended up having Tony when he was much older. And so it's a pleasure to have Tony with us. It seems weird when I was going to school and I would be like, this is my uncle. I'm older than this kid and I have to call him uncle. But it's okay. Uncle Tony, welcome to CB's Corner, my brother.
Hey, nephew. Good morning, man. It's always a pleasure. It's such a pleasure to be on with you this morning. And I taken your show, I taken your post and your blog, and I see the awesome job that you're doing, spreading messages and so on. And I was really honored when you asked me to join you on this morning. So good morning to your listeners, and I hope that our conversation this morning will resonate with some folks out there.
Well, that's the idea. Our program is to inspire, to encourage, and to spread positivity. I was honored you had me on your program as well. So one good turn deserves another. It just took a little while before you came on, but it's always the right time whenever it happens. And so I'm just so happy, so glad to have you on the show. So tell the people, how is it you are my uncle and I'm older than you? People say it's not age, but it's biology. So give them a quick background before we jump into our conversation.
So as you said, we share the same blood. My father is your grandfather. And as you also said, my father was an active man. So my mom had 14 children. My father had maybe an additional 6 or 7 to add to that. And I happened to be the last on both sides. So there were a lot of trials and testing before I got there. And I like to say that I'm the final finished product. And once they had me, they stopped.
Well, isn't that nice? That's a nice twist to it because I said to myself, maybe you were an afterthought, but you're right.
I'm the finished product. Yeah,
you are the finished product, absolutely. And once they see you, they say, you know what, we don't want to mess it up, and so that's it. But as the youngest, one probably wouldn't even realize. Many people probably don't even realize that because although you are the youngest in many aspects, we see you as a leader. You are leading the way in many, many areas in the family. There is something to be said. They say, ask Tony. There is something to be done. Ask Tony. Why do you think that's so?
There's a couple reasons. One of it is that I was raised by all of them. And so they poured everything into me. When I was a child, a lot of people used to think that Julia, my older sister, was actually my mother because she just took me on the wing and took total responsibility for my nurturing and so on. My older brother, Alfred, used to take me to his farm, go to carpentry with him. As a matter of fact, one of the biggest lessons I learned is from Alfred. because although I was small, he would give me tasks. So we were on a construction site, I have to do something. While on the farm with him, I have to do something. And because you're a child, you do it maybe 90-95%, and you expect the adult is going to come and put the finishing touches on it. And he says, no, when you do something, nobody's supposed to have to come behind you and have anything else to do. When I assign you this, you do it. When you say you're done, there should be nothing else to do with that task. And that has stayed with me for my entire life. If you give me an assignment, I want to do it completely so that when I hand it to you, you have nothing else to do with it. If it's part of another system, you might have to use it in that system. But for the task that you give me, I'm doing it 100%. And so because I embodied that from a very young age, I managed to step through a lot of the academic system. I was the first person in the family to make it past secondary school, and coming back home from going to school, I started working. My mom also played a big role in that, because from the time I was young, my mother always said, when Tony starts to work, I'm going to retire. And I came back home in 1990 as a young engineer. She stopped, although she was when they were in preschool and whatever it is, she had started grooming, I think, Thea or someone of those other young girls. She stopped working in 1990. And so I had that responsibility to make sure that every month when I earned whatever I earned, I know I had to take care of my mom. So really and truly, to answer your question, is that they raised me that way. They raised me that way to understand that I'm the anchor, and therefore a lot of things has come back to me and through me. So I was blessed to be last in that sense.
Well, that's great. And so you have taken on the mantle, as it were, to understand much has been given to you. Although you were the last, everybody put into you. And so you have that desire to give back. And I suppose that's where that leadership responsibility comes from. As I read your bio, one of the things I saw is that you have a quote, and I guess you live by that quote. It says, if you don't have time to do it right, when will you have time to do it ever? And that's a quote that is attributed to John Wooden, but I think you are incorporating that in your own experience. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the quote says, if you cannot do it right the first time, when will you have time to do it over? And that is so true, because we're rushing and we have 1,000 things to do. And we're trying to handle all of them at the same time. You know, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a husband, you have a career, and so on. And so you have to be able to focus on what it is that you're doing in front of you at the time. And my upbringing gave me an advantage because I could segment and compartmentalize things. And so I learned farming. I'm in academics. I'm in 4-H club. And one of the things that, as you talk about leadership, is that I have always been involved in a community group. So when I was in primary school, I was in 4-H club. When I was in secondary school, I was in Duke of Edinburgh Award scheme. When I came back down to Dominica working as a young engineer, I was in the JCs. Right now, I'm not actively involved in a social group, but TDN media and so on, and my involvement replaces that. And what I found was that invariably, I would end up out front. Not because I had any desire to be out front, but again, because if there is something to do and I have the capability to do it, I am going to do it. Period. It doesn't matter, well, this person not doing it or that. And my mother raised us like that as well. There was nothing in the family to say, well, today dishes is mine, tomorrow is somebody else. No, there's the household, there are chores. You not doing anything at the moment, guess what? Go do it. And so because of that, I was raised to see that there is something to be done. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. Another nice quote that I like to live by is like, if not you, who? you know. If not you, who has to take that responsibility?
That's
If not
right.
me,
Not you who, if not now when. I like that.
yeah.
And so you have incorporated those things into your life, and it shows because again, you're not worried as to well, I'm doing all the work. Once you know what you're doing benefits the whole. And that is where servant leadership is lacking in our society today. I know you talked about that on your program to some degree. We have very people in leadership, but it's more like from a selfish basis. But what you are talking about is you're doing what you're doing for the whole, for the community, and that's great. You talk about your engineering degree. Let's talk about that. You left Dominica and little place of the village of Castle Bruce, which I believe is the center of the universe anyway, biased, but nevertheless, you left there and you went to New Mexico University, I believe, and you got your engineering degree. Let's talk about that, how that happened and how you have utilized that in your everyday career, so to speak.
So sometimes things that look like they are challenging, they're supposed to be challenging or adversarially, is actual advantage. So when I was 11 years old, I left Castleberry to go to Rosa to go to grammar school. Foreign in a sense, because you only used to go to Rosa sometime at Christmas time. And I embraced that. From grammar school, I went to sixth form. And then after sixth form, I went to New Mexico State. Why New Mexico State? Because that was the scholarship that was available at the time. I will backtrack to say that when I came out of sixth form, I was offered a full scholarship to the agricultural engineering at University of the West Indies. But I did not want to go to UWI. So I just turned it down. Everybody thought I was crazy to be turning down a full scholarship, but I was not interested in going to UWI. Even if I liked agriculture and I had gotten an A in my O-levels in agricultural science, and I grew up going to the farm and all that, I did not want to go to UWI. So the next scholarship that came up was a scholarship to do mechanical engineering at New Mexico State University, and I did that. It's such a blessing because I have 5 kids, and all 5 of my kids went to college, and they could choose whatever they wanted to do. They could choose to go to any school that they wanted to go. And so I see the progression, and I'm proud, and I understand the blessing from where we came. So I went to New Mexico State. I actually landed on the campus of New Mexico State at the age of 20 years old to do my degree in mechanical engineering. I had a few A-levels in maths, physics, and chemistry. And so when I got there, I could finally get sorry.
You're an important man. What can I say?
I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, I'm at work actually. So when I got to New Mexico State, I wanted to get credit because they wanted to start me back in basic maths and so on and so on. So I fought with them not to repeat all of that hard work I had done in sixth form. And so they gave me some really difficult classes to do. And said, so I was in my first semester, first time experience in winter, first time in the United States. And in order for me to get my advanced credit, they put me in third-year classes, nuclear physics, civil engineering, whatever. And if I passed them, then they would consider my credits. And so I did pass them, and I got credit. So therefore, although my scholarship was for 5 years, and I could have stayed for 5 years to do my engineering degree, I actually did my degree in 3 years.
Awesome.
Because I was laser focused. I would do 12 credits in the summer when most people do 12 credits in a regular semester. And in a regular semester, I would do 18, 20, 22 credits. And so because I was anxious to go back home. And plus, my mind gets distracted. So if I don't stay laser focused, I get distracted. You would think that I did not have extracurricular activities, but I did. I came back from college with a degree in mechanical engineering, a minor in economics, and my first son. I actually had my son while I was in college. So I did get a full-rounded education and experience in that sense. Doing mechanical engineering, I had Domlec, the electric company in Dominica, in mind. And so in addition to doing a lot of mechanical classes, I did a lot of electrical classes. And I came back to Dominica in 1990, all excited to work as an engineer, and nobody in Dominica would hire me. At that time, they used to frown on degrees from the US. They used to think it was substandard or not as good. So I accidentally met a Canadian man who was the engineer on a project that was funded by the government. And I happened to be dropping off my transcripts to the manager on the pod because I was applying for the job as an engineer on the pod because, you know, they have all this heavy equipment and so on. And he took a look at my transcript and he hired me right there. He just gave me a card and said, our office is in town, come look for us. And he gave me, when I went there, I met a package. He said, like, this package, take it, go home, study it, and come back on Monday. You have the job. There are some keys on the desk. When you go downstairs, there's a vehicle parked outside. You will notice it because it's brand new. It has plastic on the seats. That's your vehicle. And that was in April. I had come back to Dominica in January, and it took me 4 months to get that. Everybody in Dominica was just looking at me strange. Who's this little boy that says he's an engineer? And that was that lucky break that was waiting for me while everybody was passing me up.
Well, you know, you call it luck, I call it favor. Sometimes when things don't work for us, and that's one of the, I'm glad you said that, because I preach this all the time. When things don't work out for us, we as humans, we are anxious, we are angry, we're upset, and we should have a right to be. But I have spoken to so many people who say, you know what, thank God they didn't hire me there, or they let me go over there, because if they hadn't done that, the opportunity that I got here, I would not have gotten it. So, you know, I know the frustration level was high, and I know many people, just speaking from a Dominica point of view, have gone to study and they come back and, you know, they can't get a job because they have a degree in medicine, but there are only 4 positions available and you have 12 doctors. Right. Or so on and so forth. So we are limited in that scope. But in my flyer, I did say you are smart and ambitious, and so therefore the audience is, you know, he's a very ambitious guy, a very smart guy. He's a go-getter, and so you have your degree in mechanical engineering, but you also have an MBA, right?
Yes, I have a degree in mechanical engineering, minor in economics, and then I have an MBA. So. Because I've always been interested in business coverage. I will tell you, well, you know, our beginnings are humble. What our parents have is to feed us. And so when there's a village feast or something coming up, I would go and get coconuts and sell. Our neighbor was in part of the Pig Producers Association. So they used to buy coconuts to make meal for the pigs. So I'd go get coconuts and peel them and come and sell them to him at 10 cents. So that when my friends are out and somebody puts their hand in a pocket to buy something, I'm not just standing there looking. At least I have some money too. So I've always been about business, and I still am. I have never not had a business going, never. Even when I was in Dominica working as an engineer, I had a construction company going on. I used to do estimates for people to go to the bank to get their mortgages. When they were doing that hotel in Layu, I had a whole subcontract hiring folks working while I was working full-time at the Wasco as an engineer. So I have always had business going on, because your job gives you survival, your business gives you stuff. As I said, we have a large family. And when you have a large family, there's always a need to help. And what I really, one of the things that hurts me the most is somebody that I care about has a need and I'm not able to help. And so that is one of the things that drives me, actually. Is not, I live a life with a very small footprint, so I don't need a lot for myself. But I am always wanting to be able to step in and alleviate a situation if the possibility is there. So that drives me to really expand the resources that I have.
Well, that's awesome. That's great. And that is what we need, especially from a small village, because it takes a village. And that mindset where it's not about just me, it's about all of us. And what I can do, not to see it as competition, but just putting up together with what I have, the resources that I have, so that everybody can rise. We don't have that crab in the barrel mentality. When somebody is rising, we're pulling them down. But the mentality that if you are going up or if you're falling, I can help you get off the rung of the ladder. So that's awesome. That leads me to talk about, and again, we don't have a whole lot of time. Our setting will bring you back to continue this conversation. But I know you said your ambition, your desire was to come to the United States, let your children get a better education. And now they've all gotten to the point where you believe you have planted the foundation, or you have laid the foundation. They've come to that point where they can spread their wings. And so now the next chapter is for you to not necessarily retire, but having accomplished what you have, you want to give back to the land of your birth. And so let's explore that in the next few minutes that we have. You want to go back and give in what capacity? Maybe you have the idea of maximizing resources, maybe in engineering, maybe in business, maybe in politics. But whatever it is that you want to do, you want to leave that legacy that I came from this village where I was molded, and I want to come back and give to my community. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So one of the things that helped me when I was a kid is that I used to read. I would read everything. And I would go to the farm and have a book. And after I'm finished doing my work, I would sit there. I mean, the forest is close by and there's nobody in sight, and I would read, and my imagination would take me to places wherever those books were set. And so I've always had that expansive mindset. I'll give you a quick story. As an engineering student, a mechanical engineering student, sometimes we'll have in our design class, we'll be designing different gears and shafts and so on. And you wouldn't believe that sometimes I would have the right answer, and I would think the answer is wrong because the size, the dimensions of the stuff would not make sense in my mind. Because in Dominica, I'm used to a shaft that's maybe 2 inches in diameter or whatever, and now you're doing something that's 20 inches in diameter, more than that. And I'm saying that because one of the things that I find with Dominica and growing up in an island is that sometimes our minds are a little limited in terms of magnitude, in terms of size. So if we're designing something for Dominica, then it's good enough, it's big enough, it's nice enough. So people will tell you, oh, you think you're in America then? This is done, but what's the difference? Because we are all people. All so right. If something is good for the quality of life of an American in America, why can't the same thing apply for Dominica in Dominica, a Dominican in Dominica? And that is the mindset that I have, that I would like to be able to go back and to influence that kind of thinking where we can, not necessarily that we want to become too capitalistic and just expand and acquire and so on, but to really have the mindset that it's unlimited and we can choose how big, we can choose how fancy, we can choose how classy, we can choose. And if we do that, one of the things that's very clear is that Dominicans have a very high intellectual capacity. And so, and the other thing about Dominica is Dominica geographically is located right in the center of the Caribbean. The third thing about Dominica is that Dominica has very deep waters. One of my projects, two of my projects I built the cruise ship berth at Portsmouth as an engineer, and then we expanded the deep water harbor. And the biggest cruise ships, the biggest cargo boats come into our ports, and we never had to dredge. The waters are just naturally deep enough to accommodate those ships. And when you couple that with our geographic position, we're almost directly opposite the Panama Canal. We're in the center. We're in the center of the Caribbean chain. Dominica has some natural advantages that if we look at it properly, we can leverage. And our population is small, but because of where we are located, our market system, our community can be much wider than we imagine it. And so, yes, I want to go back to Dominica and to do business that caters to take advantage of some of those advantages. I have taught a couple of times in my life. So I taught at the college before. I used to teach the mechanical and mechanical and civil engineering class at the college. And one of the things I always try to do with my students is to get them to think wider, not just narrow. And so I would definitely like to get back involved in that, to sort of like bridge the gap to an industry, and then try to influence the curriculum that's taught at the college to put students out that can contribute to the industry, and not just currently, but where we would like to see the country go in the future. So I like to be intellectually bright, we're English speaking. If we develop an IT program in the college, we could easily produce the next person who invents the next Facebook or the next Google or the next Amazon. And one of those things will make all the world of difference in the quality of life of our country. And those are the concepts that I see.
Well, absolutely. And I believe you have enough people in your corner, just from the Drago family alone, that could hook up to you, and we can do a whole lot more. I didn't even talk about TDN, which is the radio program that the platform that you are part of, probably owner of. We can talk about that when I bring you back on, but I wanted to talk about the legacy of the Dragos. We need to do something about that. I'm wearing my t-shirt not by accident. It says the John Finn Drago reunion. And, I understand our family, the Drago roots. We started in Castle Bruce. There were two brothers. We branched out to Grand Bay and Woodford Hill. And I've seen so many Dragos on Facebook. And so because you are a born leader, I'm going to throw it on you. We need to reach out and find out where we came from and how we can contribute for the next generation. Is that something that you think we can take on as a family? I mean, I'm putting it out there. What do you think?
Yes, certainly. I think the family has a lot of resources, and it's not a secret. We rise into leadership positions, and so what I'm hearing, the challenge that you're suffering of, is that we need to be able to do it in a managed and an organized fashion, and so certainly that's a project that I would love to be part of, to co-lead, to whatever. To see it, because really and truly, if we're given those resources and we don't make good use of it for the benefit of everybody, then we're wasting that opportunity.
I certainly agree. And I am on the verge of retiring too. And so count me in to be part of whatever legacy that we continue. I believe we have had a great opportunity. We have made a great platform, a great foundation for the next generation. It is up to them now to take it and take it to a higher level. But since we are still here, what we can do is to bring what we have gathered, all the knowledge and all the resources that we have gathered, into the fore, so that the next generation, and not just our family, but our little village and then our little country. Well, let me stop saying little, because we have that little mindset that you were talking about when you talk to Dominicans. Oh, I'm only cooking a little food there. It's only a little this, a little that. We have to see. We have to expand our mind and see huge, all right? Because we might be small, but we have a big heart and we have big brains and we have big ideas. And as I say, if your dreams don't scare you, actually, I read that somewhere, it's not big enough. So as we come to the end of another session, we have 1 more minute. Take that 1 more minute to say something to the audience, to encourage them and to help continue to spread the positivity that we do here on CB's Corner.
So first thing I want to do is to acknowledge you and your accomplishments. And it's not that you're done. You're right in the midstream of still striving. And so actually, one of the people that inspire me, you probably don't remember. I remember meeting you by the new market in Rosedale. You had come down one time, and I was probably in grammar school or sixth form, and we spoke. and you told me what you were doing and so on, and that inspired me and said, yeah, it certainly can happen. I remember that conversation clearly. And so what I would say is that just always live your best life the best you know how, because you have no idea who's looking at you and who you are inspiring unintentionally, but also deliberately go out and with the intention to inspire somebody. So it will happen accidentally, but don't just let it be accidental. I would say go ahead and have it as your intention that I'm going to, in this space, inspire somebody in that manner. So that's what I would say.
Oh, thank you so much. Words of wisdom from a very wise man. And so quickly, our conversation has come to an end. But like I said, we'll bring you back. And so if you're out there and you have listened to this program, understand that our goal is to inspire you, to encourage you, and to spread positivity and to let you know that you are a star. But stars don't hide, stars shine. So go out there, shine like the star that you are. Be a positive influence in the life of somebody today. If God blesses you, bless somebody else. Until next time, though, this is yours truly saying peace and love. Thank you again, Uncle. It was a pleasure having you. Let's do this again. God bless.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye now.
Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
Hello everybody, welcome to Art and the Word. How are you today? Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Nicole Georges Bennett and I am your pink guide as we strive to create beautiful things of art and to develop the God-given skills and talents that He has planted in us for His glory. So today, of course, we will be attempting to create something that is lovely to look at and something that lifts the spirit. And of course, because the program is called Art and the Word, I always like to start off with a devotional. So today I've got a new one for you, and it comes to us from righttotheheart.org, all in one line, right to the heart, right from the heart, rightfromtheheart.org. And the title of our devotional is Look Back to Move Forward. When was the last time God showed up in your life? Do you remember when God intervened in an impossible situation? How He blessed you in the middle of a crisis? The disciples had just seen Jesus miraculously feed 5,000 men and their entire families with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. That same night they found themselves frightened in a storm, quickly forgetting that great miracle. We tend to have short memories when it comes to crises, to the hardships of the faith journey. For some reason, it's easy to forget God's past faithfulness when a new obstacle threatens to derail our lives. Jesus told His disciples to expect challenges. Don't be surprised when trials appear, when you don't understand what's happening or why. This is a part of life. Instead, stop and remember what God has done in the past. Hold on to the faith of yesterday to get through today. Look back before moving forward. The children of Israel experienced the same fear and uncertainty. On the brink of entering the promised land, they were overcome by fear and began to panic at the obstacles standing in the way. That's when Moses stepped in. He told them to look back at the miracles God performed in the past. But the people were only focused on the problem, the enemy, and the longer they focused on the problem, the faster their fear grew. They quickly forgot the miracles God performed in Egypt only a short time earlier to free his people from slavery. In the same way, Jesus says to us, stop, remember, look back. Look back to the miraculous power of God. Look back to how God has blessed you in the past as you face big challenges today. So look back to how God has blessed you in the past as you face big challenges today. Remember how your Heavenly Father has met your needs in the past. Stop, remember, look back to move forward. And that's our devotional for today from rightfromtheheart.org. So I really hope that that speaks into your situation or into the circumstances that you're facing today, and that it's encouraged you to look back at all of the wonderful things and the miracles that God has worked in your life, to look forward, to be able to move forward. So that takes care of the word part of our program, although we will probably chat a little bit more about what that means. So you will notice that I've got something a little bit different today, in that I have already begun this painting, and I'm hoping to create this painting for an art sale that my church is doing. And this is inspired by an artist named Joni Young, that's Joni, on YouTube, and she's got sort of a church in the woods against a fall sky. So I'm doing a variation of that, and hopefully somebody will like it and we'll be able to raise some much needed funds. So if you happen to be in Canada, I want to take a moment to say thank you to our sponsors, eFlow Hair Salon, where you look and feel matters. Thank you very much for being sponsors for Art and the Word. So I want to say hi to all the folks at eFlow Hair Salon. So we're going to get started. So what I've got going on today is I began this painting, and I was not crazy about how some elements of it were turning out. So I am actually going to spend today's class showing you how to let go. I know our devotional was about looking back, but now in our painting section, we're going to talk about letting go, and so that you can move forward. So in a way, I guess you could draw a parallel and say we need to let go of our fear and our uncertainty and think of the big picture, think of what it is that we're hoping that God will do for us and focus on that. So I would like to let go of some of the things that I did not think worked well in this painting, and hopefully that will help me to be able to move forward and create something very nice. So you're probably asking, okay, so what are we going to be letting go here? So I have too many clouds and too many trees. So I would like the focus to be more on our little church here, that's going to be here, and a bit more on the sky, on the sort of fall swept look of the sky. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to pare back some of these clouds. I'm going to cover over some of these clouds and some of these trees here, which I think perspective wise don't work. So sometimes you have to be able to let things go. So it took me a while before I figured out exactly what I did not think worked here, and I had to be brave and say, okay, yeah, I put in the hours, and it's not fun to have to go back in and cover stuff up, but I think it will look much easier on the eye and much more attractive in the composition. So here we go. I hope you're enjoying our music and that it's helping to relax you, especially if you've maybe started off with a stressful morning. Painting is very good for kind of getting you into that sort of, I like to call it an atmosphere of meditation, but I'm not talking meditation or yoga or anything like that. I'm talking about meditating on the Word of God, meditating on God's goodness, meditating on what it is that I'm trying to do here, and asking the Lord to let it work out. Yeah, He can do that. So, I have decided that I am going to take out this here, and starting again, covering over the things you don't like, letting it dry, and then going back over it with the colors that you need, it works out. I mean, you already don't like what you did, so it could hardly get worse, right? So if you've got something maybe that you've tried, maybe you're new to painting, or you tried a long time ago and you didn't like how it turned out, maybe you could go revisit that canvas, take a look. Hopefully you picked up a few things from watching me and other people. If you can't make something of it, something new of it. If you really don't like it, just cover that sucker over. Just cover the whole thing over. Don't waste your canvas. They're expensive. Right? Just cover your subject and you can reuse it. When we were going through lockdown and we couldn't pick up new fresh canvases, I was covering over canvases like crazy. Gotta recycle. So I think that's looking a lot less cluttered there. Retrospect, I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to keep this one or not, but I think I'm going to cover these as well. I'm looking for of sorts. All right, are some of these trees. Trees are a bit of a challenge for me. I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. Trees are a challenge. I'm still learning how to do trees, and I hope that you're learning with me. So, as I always say, I'm not an expert professional painter. I think it's pretty obvious, but I do love art, and I love to share my passion for art. And you do improve as you do more of these. So some things still give me cause for pause, and trees are right up there with clouds and waves and other things that I still find challenging even after 2-3 years. So fortunately I'm better at it than when I first started out, and that's always the encouraging thing, is you can get better. So don't be intimidated and think because you see these people who've got all these, this great talent. Everybody starts off at the beginning. Some people are naturally gifted, it's true, and other people have to learn. So we learn, and we learn together. So I'm going to cover over some of this tree in particular. And I think you'll see right away that it kind of opens up the space. And hopefully we'll put more focus onto the church, which is really where I want the focus to be. So I'm just going to leave a bit of the brush. And when I say brush, I'm talking about the foliage. It's going to leave a bit of that in there. We're not going to have a very long class today. It's probably going to be on the 30-minute mark, because this painting is going to take days to finish. I have until the 20th of September, so I'm certainly hoping I can use my time wisely. But I thought I would share, this whole process of how you can change the look of your painting into something that's a bit more, that's closer to what you want it to look like. So of course you can see the tree, that it's still in the background there, and it will take a few coats to cover it over. But now we've got an idea as to what that's going to look like, right? Without the distraction of these things. And I do like how it opens up the sky for us. So hopefully I'm able to reproduce the streaks that I did, which I just used a bit of red, a bit of orange, a bit of yellow, and a tiny bit of white. And I just went back and forth like this in this motion to get that sort of windswept look across the sky. Now I am also going to try to fix up my little church area here. I'm just going to use a bit of water. I'm still not so sure about this tree right here. It might be, I think, a little bit too tall. Or maybe not. The good thing is you can change your mind. You can put things in, take things out. So the roof line of my church to be sloped. So I'm going to fix that as well. Okay. I'm thinking that's looking a lot more realistic, perhaps. Just in terms of the scale of it, scale of things. So we're gonna wait for all of that to dry, and then we will come back in and start adding back in some of these colors that we've got here. In the meantime, we could have some fun with our water. So I'm going to start adding some little drips and drabs of white to add a bit of, what should I call it? A bit of current to our river here. Show that there's some activity. It's just sort of like along the line here. Just along the riverbank here. How are you today? I hope you're having a nice day. I hope you're having I know it's a blessed day, but even blessed days can come with their challenges, right? So just think of our devotional today and remember that the Lord has brought you through many things, probably things you didn't think that you would survive. He's brought you through illness, through financial difficulties, through the death of a relationship perhaps, or the death of a loved one. He promises not that we will not have a life without challenge, without trouble, but that He has overcome the world, and that He will be with you through it all. He holds your heart, He holds your hand. He can give your mind perfect peace. Not peace as the world gives, but peace as He gives. There can be joy. My pastor talks about the difference between joy and happiness. Happiness, right? It comes and it goes. Joy in the knowledge that the Lord is always with you and that He loves you. That's something that's a lot more lasting. And it doesn't always translate into a smile on your face or laughter, but it's that wonderful sense of knowing that it is well with your soul. That's what joy is, my interpretation. So I'm just going to add some little dribble drops here. As we come down the river. Just showing the movement. So let's see. So our area over our church is dry. I want to create a line that slopes. These postcards, Christmas postcards, or these postcards that show little churches in the woods. It's all very quaint, charming. Makes you feel somehow like in the woods you're closer to God somehow. I guess being out in nature, being able to reflect directly on his creation. Trying to create some little windows here.